Hello there everyone, welcome back, and today we're taking a look at the Nerf Hyperfire. Now, the Nerf Hyperfire is one of the more well-known and popular blasters that Nerf has released over the past several years, but this is not the blaster that we're doing a video on today. The blaster that we're doing a video on today is this. Now, this is the original Hyperfire, the Dart Tag Hyperfire that was released back in about 2004 and ran under the Dart Tag line with its own special variation of darts, and it is quite an interesting blaster, coming in this compact size, almost the size of a revolver, like a strong arm or something. Though compared to a strong arm or any of the other revolvers that Nerf as nowadays, what is interesting about this is the fact that, firstly, it has 10 round capacity, which is 4 more than 6, which means that it has a higher capacity, of course. And it has a foregrip, which means that if you so desired, you could stick your hand here and wield it like this, which is kind of silly because of how small it is, but the option's there. It's top primed like most revolvers that Nerf has, and interestingly enough, especially for how early a blaster is, it does have this tack rail up here, so if you really want to, you could put some sort of scope or something on there. Or, yeah, you could put a bipod and fire upside down, maybe. I don't know, but, yeah, there's not a whole lot left to, well, a whole lot else to go over with the blaster itself. It has a capacity of 10 darts, top primed, though it does have this ledge here, so it is a bit easier to prime it and then return it to its prime. And its trigger is notable because of the fact that there's space for 2 fingers, and even for someone who has larger hands than I do, because I do indeed have relatively small hands. The grip is relatively comfortable, but of course the most notable feature on the grip is the large trigger, which is different than a lot of Nerf blasters. Not necessarily better or worse, that's subjective, and each person will have their opinion on that, but it's different, and especially now, different is, well, at least in my opinion, a good thing. But anyways, yeah, so I guess I'll do a firing performance, which I have a variety of darts loaded up here, which at least one of them does include a semi-period accurate streamlined dart I had lying around. That may or may not work, but we'll see. Firing velocity is pretty terrible, well, at least quite inconsistent, with this being a early 2000s blaster, well, mid 2000s blaster, which technically means that this blaster was released before I was born, though there's a very good chance that this specific blaster is not as old as I am, because it was in production until 2011 or so. And yeah, well, I mean, this doesn't have slam fire unless you want to launch darts at about 2 feet. But anyways, yeah, so it's pretty much it for the firing demo. I mean, it doesn't really have slam fire, but, you know, it's an older blaster, it has its quirks, especially with the fact that the barrels here turn on trigger pull, which means after you pull them quite quickly, then, well, you can sort of jam out the mechanism a bit, which is not ideal, but jams are pretty easy to clear because, yeah. So yeah, there's not a whole lot else left to go over this blaster. It's interesting and it's quirky, certainly, but there's a reason why it's not nearly as well known as this thing here, because it's sort of a niche blaster. It never really took off, though I suppose if you want to, it sort of does have a place. I mean, you could cut off this foregrip here, because that's quite unnecessary, then maybe give it a paint job, and you might find perhaps a spring upgrade, and you might find yourself with a 10-shot revolver, which is a pretty useful feature, though of course Nerf and other companies do sell revolvers nowadays of have a capacity that is close to being equal to this, so a bit unnecessary, but it is interesting at least. So yeah, so there's a reason why it never really took off too much, but it is interesting always to go back to these sort of blasters that you sometimes don't hear about, or you sometimes know about back then, but then these days, but then with the advent of all the new blasters that have come out, you sort of forget about them. So it's interesting always to go back and see how far the general community has come, and in a way, make you appreciate a lot of the blasters that have come out since then. I mean, even Elite 2.0, none of those shot about 40 FPS, unless you count the sort of the one without a trigger, but that's not really a blaster, that's trash. Oh well. Anyways, that's pretty much it for today, and I hope you have a good day, everybody.